Hi, I'm Brittney Saunders and welcome to Big Business, the place where business is far from boring. And today I'm recording on Gadigal land. Now, I somehow managed to build an empire from the garage underneath my house, and I'm here to share it all with you. From the wins, the huge mistakes, the challenging times, and the funny moments in between. So whether you're in business already, perhaps you're not in the game at all, maybe you're just looking for some inspo, or you simply want to hear the tea when it comes to running a business, this is the podcast for you. Coming up on today's episode, I'm chatting with one of my great friends, Tommy, who is the owner and founder of Wedding Chats, which is a video guest book for your wedding. But it doesn't stop there. Tommy will come and do a chat at any single event that you may have in your life. And we're talking about all of that in the pod. Tommy is a qualified journalist with a background in radio and content production. So his interviewing skills is something that has been crafted over the past 10 years. Originally from Melbourne, Tommy moved to Newcastle in 2020 and just bought his first... Do you want me to say this? I'm not going to fucking say this. He has a dog and
That's so funny.
Oh, Tommy, welcome to the pod.
Thanks, mate.
So, Tommy, I obviously know your business. We're friends. But for everyone listening, what is it that you do exactly in a nutshell?
Yeah, I wish I could have like a really succinct elevator pitch because I'm trying to pitch it to people. But the gist of what I do is I go to weddings, and instead of people signing a guest book at a wedding, I set up my camera on a tripod, I have a microphone, and straight after the ceremony, I get people to come over to my camera and I interview them. If it's a standard wedding with a bride-groom, what do you love about the bride? Favourite memories with the groom? Do you have messages for them in the future? How was the ceremony? What's the vibe of the wedding so far? Those kind of questions. Usually 5 or 6 questions per guest I try and get through. I then have a couple of different packages. So the couple will either get a video that goes for an hour or 2 hours of me kind of talking to all their favourite people about what makes them so great. That's the gist of what I do. So a video guest book from your wedding.
Have you ever had a guest that was a nightmare to interview?
Yeah, like I've had a few nightmare guests, and generally the most inappropriate stuff that comes up is not PC, maybe like drug-related chat that we're doing at weddings that, that we don't use on social media. And that's how my business has grown. So interviewing the guests, and it's everything from super funny, loose conversations like that. And that's what I thought the business would be when I started. Like a little bit of a fun. I used to refer to what I do as going to weddings and doing silly little interviews.
Yeah.
But I've learnt with time that what I do and my skill set is actually so much deeper than that. And being able to transition from talking to, say, the best man at a wedding and talking about footy and utes and blah, 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 and me being all macho, which I'm absolutely not, but I pretend to be.
What are you talking about? Yes, you are. You're the most macho guy I know.
As I sit here in my like fluoro purple and green spray jacket, being able to transition from that kind of conversation to a conversation with your mum or your nan and talk about how proud your parents are of you and what you mean to them or what you mean to your best man as a friend.
Yeah.
And I think hearing from your favourite people about what they love about you is what makes Wedding Chats a really special thing, because while your camera roll might have 25,000 photos and videos, how many of them are really special, sentimental things that you can look back on in 25, 30 years from now to show your future kids maybe? This is what everyone was like on my wedding day. This is what my parents thought of me. And I think that's what makes it really special, and that's not what I thought it was going to be at the start. I thought it was going to be the big piss take and people being drunk and, you know, that those viral videos of here's me at a wedding and this is my first drink and this is my last drink. And at the first wedding I went to, I actually asked people, what's your favourite thing about the bride? And then I'd go, what annoys you about them? What's their worst habit? And then when I delivered that video, the couple were like, oh, we thought this was going to be like a bit nicer. This is like a roast.
So have you ever delivered a couple, maybe in your early days, have you ever delivered a video and they weren't happy about it?
No, well, other than that first one, I've had people say, oh, can you remove this bit or can you remove that bit? Because there's things that I might be talking to a guest about that the guest is laughing and joking and like, haha, and I'm going, oh, okay, this seems funny. But then I'll send it to the couple and they might be like, hey, this was like a super sensitive topic in our relationship and it almost broke it up.
Oh,
could you
no.
please
People are just bringing it up at the wedding because it's
thinking
all
they're
fun
being
and
funny.
games. Yeah,
Exactly.
Wow.
So I've removed those things, but apart from that, no one's ever been unhappy, I guess.
Have you ever not interviewed someone in particular and then the couple or whoever booked it is like, did you get an interview with this person? And you're like, no.
There's a perfect example of making mistakes or like learning lessons in the early days. I would just go there, rock up. I wouldn't really have many meetings with the couple in the lead up because at the time when I started Wedding Chats in 2022, I was working a full-time job in marketing and I was like, oh, this will just be a fun little side thing that I'll do. And I would just rock up to the wedding and kind of get whoever was making eye contact with me. I'd be like, you look fun, come over and chat to me. And people would be like, oh, did you get my mum? And I'd be like, oh my God, I didn't get the bride or groom's mum. Do you know what I mean? Those things. So now I've got a fail safe and I've got plans in place now that I'm full time in the business. I meet with every couple before. I make sure I Zoom with have like a Zoom meeting with every couple before they even book because they might see it on Instagram, but you don't know really what the service is or how it works. And I need to make sure I vibe with you just as much as you know what you're actually getting. So I found that really helps and that helps miss any people. So I ask couples who are the top 5 VIPs. So who are like the 5 most important people that when you're watching this back in 20 years, you'd be disappointed if they weren't in the video.
Yeah, that'd be so interesting as well, especially in those early days when you were just going and interviewing whoever wants to talk to you. You could be interviewing someone's partner that they don't even know.
Yeah, and I've done that a few times. Like I say to people, what do you love about Sarah? They're like, I don't really know her.
Oh, no.
And then I go, make something up. And then I try and just... Usually what people go to in that instance is if they're not friends with Sarah, they might be friends with the other person in the marriage.
Yep.
They generally say, I just love that they make my friend happy.
Yep.
Which is a beautiful thing in itself, right?
Yeah.
Sort of. But like, what else do you
I'm
say?
just here for the free drinks. Like...
Exactly. But that's fun, right? Like, so it is a real balance of like some shit talk, some fun content that you can post on your socials versus the people that you are close with. And that's where I believe I've learned that what I have is a skill, being able to read people's emotions, body language, to get them to trust me, to feel vulnerable, to open up and say some really beautiful, deep things for that couple to have on video forever.
Yeah, and I have seen your videos that you do share, and you have had so many viral videos, especially on TikTok, of people being rowdy and funny and loose and saying the most rogue shit. But then you also have all these special videos that you've shared of people's nans getting fully emotional and opening up. I even saw one that you posted with someone's mum, and she said that they like hadn't spoke for a long time and that they finally connected, and now she got to be at the wedding. I was like,
But see, that's what's so special, right? Like, and that was actually a wedding my wife did. So my wife, Maddie, she's one of the wedding chatters too. So I started...
Shout out to Maddie.
Shout out, Mads.
Are you going to make her listen to this episode?
Well, if she didn't, I'd be upset. So the business started with me as the sole chatter, and then I was getting lots of inquiries, and I was like, well, how, I'm not the only person that can do this, and I've got a really close-knit group of my close friends who all have sort of a media or hosting or presenting background that I trust that also can be booked to go to weddings and chat. And that was one where, the mother and daughter were estranged from each other for a little while. And then, the mum getting emotional, and people have opened up to us in weddings. And sometimes they tell us things that they actually haven't told the couple.
Wow.
Like what they mean to you as a friend or a time you were really there to support them that they've never really said. And a lot of siblings, I say, do you tell them enough what you mean to them or what they mean to you, sorry? And the sibling go, nah, I love them, but I don't tell them enough and I never will tell them.
Yeah.
So, but to get that nice little moment on camera.
Yeah, they'll be able to cherish that forever. I think it's a really modern take on like a guest book kind of thing, which is kind of old school, like to go to a wedding and just write in a scrapbook kind of thing.
And what are you going to write? Congratulations, love Uncle Kim.
Yeah, you can't really portray that much of a message in something like a guest book, even though it's nice to have and keep forever kind of thing. I think what you've really tapped into here is a very modern way of doing something like that. And we're living in a video world where everything is a TikTok, everything is a reel. I mean, people already have photographers and videographers at their wedding. They're making them this long 3-minute montage that's all pretty, but you're showing more of like the real, authentic side and people's thoughts and feelings and capturing that in a video. So I think it's very clever.
And what I try to also do is let the couple see the most authentic version of their family and friends. Like I do my best to read, like I said, emotions, body language to make them feel comfortable and almost like mimic the energy that they're giving me. If someone's mum comes in, then they're quite serious and then I'm going to match that energy. But then again, if the bridesmaids are coming in and we're sculling our cruisers, well, then up we get. You know what I mean? So my hope with this is that every anniversary, the couple will sit down with a bottle of red wine, sit there, or alcohol-free. You don't have to drink. Drink responsibly if you do drink, but sit down and enjoy their video every year or two.
I love the responsible alcohol message in there.
Mate, it's 2024. You got to be so careful in 2024. You can't say anything.
Oh, I'm big business. We just let loose on here. Nah, just kidding.
Responsibly.
Responsibly, do everything responsibly. I don't know about you, but I think there is a point in every entrepreneur's career where you've got that side hustle happening and you're working maybe full-time or part-time and then you're on the fence about whether to make the leap or not. You were in that position not that long ago, for a while, might I say. What do you think, in your experience, was stopping you from taking the leap?
I think in the most simplest form, the thing that was stopping me was we'd just bought a house, we had a mortgage, and I was like, if I take this leap to go full-time, back myself with my business, Wedding Chats, and it doesn't work, that's a huge risk I'm putting on Maddie, my wife, and like she needs to earn all the money. What if I dive into my business full-time and like no one ever books me and I never make a cent and we lose all this money and Maddie has to earn all the money and then I have to go and find a job like, I don't know, digging holes on the side of the road. Like that's my worst fear. And that's what I think. And because my business is so heavily based on bookings and like people coming to me, seeing value in what I do and paying me, if they don't see value in what I do, like what if I just don't get any more inquiries ever again? And because weddings is such a seasonal business, like not a lot of weddings during winter, very heavy during spring, not much during summer because it's too hot for weddings generally. Yeah, sometimes you go through peaks and troughs with bookings and I'm just like, what if I never get one again? That's probably the scariest thing for me.
So do you think it was more the fear of failing versus the money side?
Oh, yeah, I'd say it's almost an even balance of both. Like, I need to get bookings and I need to make money to support my family and to live. And I think because more under all of it, right, there's this insecurity that like I'm not good enough and myself is so closely linked with my business. Like my self-worth is really tied up in my business because if I'm not getting bookings internally, that's like I haven't been posting good enough content or people don't see the value in what I'm bringing because I'm the one going to their wedding, interviewing them. And if they're not willing to pay me to do that, well then what am I worth? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100% know what you mean. When people are coming to you and they're just say booking you for their wedding, you obviously suss them out on a Zoom call and do you kind of ask them, what kind of video are you wanting to get? Are you wanting something serious and sentimental? Do you give them the option? Like, do some people say, we just want crazy fun? Like, can people pick and choose?
They definitely can pick and choose, but this is where I think me as a business owner, I feel like I know what the right balance is. Yes, I do ask most people, and more so than asking them if they want it to be silly or emotional. Like if that was the spectrum, right? Like really silly or really emotional. Or sentimental would be more, I guess. Silly or sentimental.
Everyone crying or everyone being crazy?
Yeah, everyone crying from laughter. Which one? I think what I find is that people either be really close with their family and want a lot of family stuff, or they might be like, I'm not super close with my family. I'd prefer majority of friends. Because even if you're not an overly sentimental person, would you fall into that category, do you reckon?
Yeah. Me, what family? Allegedly.
I still think getting a video from your closest people
100%.
talking about how proud they are of you is still something you would cherish, right? So
100%.
While people might say, yes, we want silly and we want fun, I can absolutely do that, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to still ask your closest mate what makes them proud of you.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the stuff that makes what I can do really special.
I love it. I might have to have a wedding just so you can come and do the interviews, Tommy.
Well, obviously I've tried to diversify the business as well.
Yes,
so
you have.
Not just weddings. I can go to store openings. I've started chatting with people's grandparents, doing life chats, getting their life story on camera to deliver to a family. So I've tried to be kind of versatile in that sense that I can go to wherever. Like we've worked together obviously at some of the Fate events and store openings, and there's a lot of people out there who are doing those interviews, those like, you know, wacky street kind of interviews.
Yes.
But again, I think every person has an ego, and I'm like, I don't do what they do. I'm very special and I do it differently. So I'll keep telling myself that anyway.
I love it. Being a business where you are relying on bookings and it's not really just a off-the-cuff kind of purchase where someone just goes, oh, fuck it, I'll buy that. The same way like we talk about how someone might buy one of my tops like without much thought. Obviously, when someone's coming to you, they're going to have to think about it. It's an expense for their special day or their special party or occasion, whatever it may be. How have you dealt with the admin side and people wasting your time? Because I'm always intrigued by that.
It's really interesting because a lot of people want your prices to be available on your website. But I'm like, I don't put them on my website because I want to get the inquiry to come through. I will then send you my prices because I feel like I need to almost pitch myself to couples because they'll see my videos online and be like, oh, this will be a few $100 for him to just come and talk to people.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, there's so much more that goes into it than that.
Especially if you're making them a 1 hour long video. Like I think people would see 1 hour long video and think, oh yeah, whatever. But that's like fucking hours and hours and hours of editing.
Yeah, absolutely.
An hour long video. Like it takes us a bit to put together a 2-minute reel. So imagine an hour long video. But I don't think people that aren't in video editing wouldn't see that.
No, and I think the emotional energy that I expend when I'm at the wedding is a big part of, like, if you just put yourself in any random situation, going to a wedding in the Hunter Valley and trying to let people open up and feel natural and relaxed to you, talking about people that you've only just met in terms of the couple who are getting married, not anyone can do that, right?
No.
That's what you're paying me to do. You're paying me to make your people feel comfortable and tell them all about you and why they love you. And I think that's what I've found the trickiest thing, trying to come up with a price point for what I'm worth. Because people will, right now, for me to come to your wedding and interview people for 2 hours is because that's what my time is worth in terms of driving out there, the emotional energy I'm expending, coming home, editing, delivering that for you in terms of everything else with a wedding. And I think people see wedding and just assume you've upped the price because like, oh, it's a wedding, he can just charge more. And it's like, with a wedding, there's a don't fuck it up fee. Like you can't fuck it up.
No.
You can't not press record on the camera. You can't just magically lose the footage and be like, oh, can we get that again? You can't miss the interview with the mum and come back, oh, I'll get it tomorrow. Like there's no...
It's your one shot.
Exactly. And you've got to be on. And it's a performance, right? Like I'm going there and I'm acting like I'm everyone's best friend. That's my job, to try and make people feel, comfortable and relaxed. And I feel like the need to pitch myself when I get on the Zoom with couples because, there's a price attached, like everything in business. But I feel like I need to make them feel like I'm worth that. And I don't think you can get that from just seeing my videos.
I think especially from my experience working in, I guess, creating content and like interviewing people randomly throughout my career as well, people don't understand that it's not easy to just go and interview someone, especially on camera, in an environment where you don't know anyone. And I think if someone tried to do what you are doing, but they had no experience, maybe they'd think, oh, this will be easy. Like I'll just set up the tripod and talk to people. Like they'd go and do it, but the videos that they would get with everyone would be exactly the same. Like, how are you today? Yeah, good. What do you have to say? Like, whereas it's really hard for like people to tap into those emotions of people and have those moments of vulnerability with the guests kind of thing. And I think that's maybe where people that are contacting you and having these calls, maybe they're failing to see the value in that.
And that's where I get annoyed if I go a couple of weeks without getting a booking. I'll get inquiries. And the thing that upsets me the most is when I'll get inquiries, I'll send people back my price guide. And then I text them being like, hey, I just replied to your inquiry. It may have gone to your junk folder. Just check. Let me know if you got it. Never hear from them on text. Never hear from them on email again.
Yeah, that would be really tough.
It's disheartening.
Yeah.
And like this year, I think I counted the other day through my like online CRM system. I've had like 250 inquiries this year, which I'm like, that's pretty good. But then my bookings is like, I don't know, 20%.
Yeah.
Because in the wedding industry, your conversion's quite low. Like everyone, like almost like a scattergun approach. Everyone inquires with everyone.
Yeah, they're wanting to get the best deal and figure out what's going to fit in their budget.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't know I exist because wedding video guest books aren't a common thing. So if they come across me 3 weeks before their wedding and they haven't budgeted for me, they're like, I wish I had found out about you last year so I could squeeze you in with the budget. So, but again, this is all still tied, and I'm still working on this. It's tied to my like self-worth, being like, if people aren't booking me, there's something I'm doing wrong.
There's something wrong with me.
Yeah, and it's really tricky. Like, do you ever experience that? Like, if sales are dropping, are you like, well, this is because I haven't made enough videos lately?
Yeah, I definitely feel, I mean, Fate is doing great at the moment, but I often do think, shit, if things do slow down, that's going to fall on me and I'm going to be carrying that weight on my back. And I think that's a feeling that every business owner will have, no matter what industry you're in or what service you're offering or what your product is. And it's the hardest thing to do, to like separate you as a person from your business and know that it is personal, it is business, and they're two different things. But when you are so closely tied into your business and running the day to day and it's all on you, like especially in your position where you're in the content, you're getting the bookings, it's hard to feel like it's not your fault.
Yeah, and
if things go slow.
I obviously think my business is the best idea in the world and that everyone should have it at their wedding. And I'm like, why aren't people booking this? This is so beautiful and such a great idea. You just need to make it work within your budget because you're going to regret not booking it. But unfortunately, life doesn't work like that. It
doesn't work that way. How do you feel when you do, let's say, people inquire with you and then you send them through the pricing and then they do book the Zoom call, you spend the time on the Zoom call with them. How long do you normally talk to people on the Zoom call?
Half an hour, 45 minutes.
What do you feel when they don't book you after that call?
It's normally like a 95% success rate.
That's good.
Because I know once I've got them on the Zoom, you're intrigued enough, you're okay with the price.
Yep.
And you're going that step further.
Yeah.
So it rarely happens. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, well, their stupid fault. Because like I said, I've got the most belief and confidence in me as a business and as a person and what I can deliver. And that's only come really recently.
Yep. Really
recently to have confidence in what I'm doing and what I can deliver. And I feel like you're a big reason. Like, you don't apologize for saying, no, I'm successful.
No.
Exactly. And that's a thing that, like, years ago I would never have said and been really shy to say. And like I said, I used to call what I do these silly little interviews. And it's like, if I'm playing down what I'm doing,
you're putting that out there into the world.
Exactly.
And it is just going to be a silly little thing.
Exactly right. And now I've got this confidence that, yeah, I'm a great host and I'm a great interviewer and no one's going to book me to do this stuff if I don't truly believe that.
I back that 100%. On the topic of self-confidence, when you started this, you were obviously confident to an extent because you were confident enough to come up with the idea and execute it. I think that's where a lot of people stop. I think people have an idea and they think, oh, wouldn't that be great? But then their insecurities get in the way and they don't even take that first step. Why did you start it? Where do you think you had that confidence and how has your confidence changed since then and now?
So I would look at influencers and content creators online and I would genuinely sit there and go, I'm funnier than these people. Like in my day-to-day working life, I would be making jokes and I would try and be witty and funny and all of that. And I would sit to myself and be like, my talents are wasted here. I should be on TV. I should be doing something, like hosting something, because that's just what I loved to do. And I moved to Newcastle in 2020 and it got to the point where I was like, I didn't want to be 45 and still saying that. So I was like, well, put your money where your mouth is and go out and do something then. So I started going to the Newcastle Knights games and I took my iPhone there and interviewed people outside the footy. And that started, and I was calling that shit footy chat because I just would ask people, come over here and talk.
That's the most Newcastle thing I've ever fucking heard. Shit footy chat.
And people thought that the Newcastle footy team, I don't know if I'm allowed to say their name.
Yeah.
There's only one. Newcastle Knights.
Allegedly.
People thought the Knights were paying me to go to the games and like create content for them. And I was like, no, I just was doing it because I thought it was funny. And then people were enjoying the videos. And then, yeah, a friend of mine was like, people would pay you to do these at weddings. And then I think after a while at weddings, when I would go to so many different varieties of weddings, and the feedback I was not only getting from the couples, but getting from the people I was interviewing would go, before we would talk, they would be like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. And then after the 8 or 10 minute interview, they'd be like, wow, you made that so easy. I didn't feel like I was on camera. I didn't feel like I was nervous anymore once we started. And it's just after a while of that, I go, oh, okay, well, obviously I am good at doing this, right? So that's kind of how it started. And then I was still doing my full-time job in the first year when I started Wedding Chats and did 27 weddings the first year.
While you were working Monday to Friday?
Yep.
At a car yard?
Yep.
Doing their marketing?
Yes. Car yard makes it sound like one singular yard.
No, it was a big company.
Not that it makes a difference really, but yes, I was doing marketing for a few car dealerships and then did 27 weddings in 2022. I went down to 2 days a week because I could have probably taken the full-time leap, but I was just like...
You were so scared.
Yeah, I was, because I was just, again, not sure about money. Am I going to have enough money coming in? Even
though you'd done 27 weddings in a year
whilst
working full-time. And I remember us having these conversations and me trying to stress to you that you needed to let go of that full-time job in order to have more time to then turn that 27 weddings into 37 weddings. But it gets to a point where you're not going to grow any further if you're still hanging on to something else, even though it's the secure, comfortable thing to do.
Well, that's the thing. Exactly right. Like, I took it to 27 weddings working a full-time job, but how's it going to get any bigger than that if I can't put all my time and energy into it? Second year, I went down to 2 days a week in that marketing job. So I was still there, still like a safety blanket was there for me.
Were you mentally there on those 2 days that you were working there?
Probably not. Like, because it wasn't my priority.
Yeah.
They'd really, they'd hired somebody else.
Did they really not want to lose you or?
Because I was a very different element to the car industry.
I know. When I think of the car industry, I don't think of them having a marketing person. Like I think of them having a marketing person that is in like their headquarters and they do all the TV ads and everything. But I don't think of like a local business having a marketing person working in there.
I think that was my strength. And because I'm a people person and they were all like sales and numbers and datas and graphs. And I was like, hey, let's make a video. If you were a car, what kind of car would you be? Like,
yeah.
And they enjoyed that element that I would bring, right? And I was like, a lot younger than most of the other kind of general managers that were in there. So I just brought a different kind of flavour, I guess. So they replaced me, but then I was there 2 days a week to still sort of support that person that had taken over my role, I guess. Second year I did 35 weddings while I was 2 days a week. And this year we'll end up doing we've got 57 booked in for this year.
So basically every week and a little bit more.
Yeah. I'm a bit nervous. In a couple of weeks, I've got a week where I've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, all weddings. And I just...
Did you say Tuesday?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday, Saturday that same week.
And you're doing every single one of them?
Yeah.
Wow. You're really hustling.
But I believe I should be doing that every week.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's where I want to get my business to because I believe that it's special. I believe that it works. I think that not enough people know about my business because, like I said, people know about a wedding videographer, photographer. Content creators are becoming really big in the wedding industry now.
Yeah, like they take their iPhone and capture the day and make little trends and everything.
Yeah, and you get those the content from your content creator almost the next day, whereas from your photographer might be a 4, 6, 8 week wait to get those professional photos. But from your content creator, they'll make a couple of reels with you on the day. They'll get you to do some stage stuff, but they're taking like BTS camera shots and you get that the next day. But no one's looking for a wedding guest video. Can't even say my business. A wedding video guest book. No one's searching for that online. So I just think my business should be so much bigger than what it is.
Well, I think you're like the first to be tapping into this niche. I guess even though you do have other people that you know in your network that people can book through Wedding Chats, do you feel a certain type of pressure that you're the main character of the show? And like, are most people wanting you when they come to you for bookings?
Yes, most people are wanting me, and that's been a tricky thing to try and to change my language around being like, I'm not available, but some of my team are available. So changing that language to, hey, we do have availability on your date. Because I'm not Wedding Chats. Wedding Chats is a business, and yes, I'm the main one in Wedding Chats because I'm full-time and I've done 90% of the weddings, but and then that's me learning as a business owner. I need to diversify the content that I'm posting and showcase and champion all these other great interviews that everyone else has done. And that's a tricky part, right? Because I'm the only one in it. I've got to do, and clearly you've got a giant empire with millions of people working for you, but like trying to go home and do my zero, still maintain a relationship with Maddie, post enough on social media.
Try to maintain. Sorry, Maddie.
But that's what I find. And we were even talking about this in the car on the way down, being like, knowing where I have this goal of where I want to get to with the business, and I want to hustle, and I want to be this really hard worker who grinds and gets to this place that I want to be in my career and set up for our family and our future life. But then I also want to enjoy my life. Like I swing between like, yeah, knock off at 4 o'clock and go out and hang out with Mads. Like, go enjoy your life. But then I'm like, well, you're never going to get to where you want to go if you don't work hard, and you got to hustle.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a devil and an angel on my shoulder trying to keep both parts of my brain happy.
Yep.
And it's a really tricky balance when you're the only one in your business and no one's going to care more about your business than you.
I always say that.
Yeah, but it's so true though, because like you can have the best employees and you can have the best friends who support you and share your videos on socials, but at the end of the day, that's not paying the mortgage, right?
No, it's you that's driving it. And if anything, I think that feeling never goes away where you are trying to find the right balance. Oh, I can tell you it doesn't go away. But I'm only so much further into my journey than you are. But I still have those feelings of like, I want to enjoy this and reap the benefits. But at the same time, if I keep grinding and keep hustling late at night, then I'm going to get more done. So I think it's just about doing both evenly. And I think there definitely is those few years or even like 5 years in every business. Look at me talking as if though I've been doing this for 20 years. I think there's like a 5-year period in your business where you're going to be doing that grinding and hustling. And I think you have to do that to get to where you want to be if you have a goal.
Absolutely. And I'm super proud of what I've achieved already. And realistically, this is the first year I've been full-time in my business.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can do 57 weddings 1 year being full-time, like what's the future look like?
What's the goal number for 2025 for you?
It's interesting because I don't know that I have a number. This year was 57. I've already got 27 booked for next year.
What about 100?
100 would be great. And I think that's a reasonable amount that myself and the team could happily cover. And I think wedding chats is one part of what I do, but then I mentioned like live chats and chatting to people's grandparents. Like that's something I can do during the week.
Exactly.
But that's still technically a booking for my business that comes through the same account. So does that count as a booking?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows?
Everything that you do through your business is a booking. Doesn't matter if it's a party or speaking with someone's grandparents or a wedding. You can count them all as bookings.
Okay.
You heard it here from me first.
Okay, great. I'll refer back
I'll
to
just
you.
book you to do 10 things to get you closer to your 100.
I would appreciate it. That'd be great. Thank you.
Tommy, I think you're a really good example of someone starting something from nothing, just from scratch, like you said, a silly little idea and turning it into something quite epic and real. What would your advice be to those out there who are maybe in the same sort of position? Maybe they've got an idea or they're working, on something on the side on the weekends and at night. What would your main points of advice be for someone in that position?
So the first few weddings I did, they were for free. They were connections I had.
Like your friends and stuff?
Yeah, my friend was like the celebrant at the wedding and said to the couple, my friend's starting this business idea. Could he come to your wedding and interview people and he'll make a video for you? So I did 2 or 3 of those for free. The next wedding I did was like my sister-in-law and brother-in-law's wedding. Mm-hmm. And then I did it there. It was really funny because I said to them, I've started this business idea. Can I just come? And they were like, yeah, whatever. They had no idea what I was doing or what they were really going to get.
Yeah.
And then when they got it, they were like blown away by this whole 2-hour thing that I made them. And they were like, oh my God, this is amazing. So from there, and I think under quoting at the start, like you got to price yourself cheap. Because you don't have any social proof.
No. And I think that's every business starts in that position. I remember when I started Fate and I didn't know anything about marking up the prices of stuff. So in my mind, I price things. If it's more than what it cost me to make, I've made money.
Yeah.
And then I remember having that mentality for those first few years and having those fears around, but I don't want to charge $60 for that because, I don't know, I feel like people would rather it be $40 kind of thing. But I think every founder has that period in the beginning where you are like undervaluing yourself and underpricing yourself.
Absolutely. I was charging $500.
And you were driving like an hour to the Hunter Valley.
Yeah, because I thought that's what it was worth.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was going to be this silly little thing where I'd make you one reel and it was going to go for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I've realised, like, if I'm there for 2 hours, that means their video will go for an hour. Because I know how to structure my interviews. I know how to structure my time when I get there. And that's, again, taken a 3-year journey for me to get to where I am now. So I guess the tip or bit of advice to anyone starting is, like, start small, do stuff for free, hustle, network. And, like, is there a variation of what you want to do that you could start, like, smaller? Instead of going to weddings, could you go to parties? Or instead of going to weddings, could you interview grandparents? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's a smaller version of what you can do? What's a smaller version of what you want to do that you can start with?
That's more achievable.
Yeah, and get the social proof. I feel like social proof is a big thing. Like, when people come to book me, a lot of my bookings come through Instagram. Mm-hmm. On my Instagram, I've got 19,000 followers. When I had 3,000 followers, people might be like, I don't know what this thing is.
And isn't that the weirdest thing, that we're living in a world where people are judging your business based off like how many followers you have and how many videos are on your grid, which is so true. Like, if you go to look at anything on Instagram or someone recommends something and you go on there and they've got 3 posts and no followers, like, you'll instantly be like, oh no, they mustn't be legit.
Exactly.
So like, social proof is everything.
Yeah.
Having that content there, having engagement.
Testimonials from, even if you've done something for someone for free, can you get a testimonial from them and put it somewhere? Mm-hmm. Can you, this is me coming back to interviews, can you interview them and get a video of them talking about how good you are at the thing you're doing? Because I think nothing speaks more in this day and age than social proof and, yeah, testimonials.
And what a weird world to be living in.
It's so odd. It's honestly wild.
I often think back to like before social media and how businesses were still a thing, and I think, how? Was it just newspapers and word of mouth? And TV ads.
Yeah, and like hoping people walked past your shop and like, what's that shop over there? I'll wander in there and get that.
Yeah.
Like when was the last time you saw Yellow Pages?
Never. Did they get rid of them? Are they still around? I
I don't think so.
Who knows? I feel like they're a lot thinner now. I feel like we're so lucky to be in business in this social world that we're living in, but at the same time, I know how overwhelming that is for business owners, and I know that people in business will often put social media on the back seat and go, oh, it's too hard to make content. But I always say to everyone, social media is everything. It doesn't matter what business you're in. If you are working if you've got a car yard, if you're doing wedding chats, if you're selling clothes, if you're making treats to sell at your bakery, like, social media is for every business. And I think in 2024, if people are not on social media for their business, then like, I don't understand how that would work.
Well, you have to be on social media, and it's a double-edged sword, right? Exactly like what you said. So you have to be there, and it's so accessible for everyone, and there's so much information. You can go and watch YouTube tutorials and teach you how to do everything on social media. But then at the same time, it's so oversaturated, the social media market. So how do you cut through? And I think, yeah, trying to come up with your own niche, your own angle on something is the way you can sort of cut through all that noise that's out there.
I love it. You have given us lots of tips already, especially in this last little question that I asked you. But at the end of every Big Business episode, we finish with a tip of the week. Do you have a tip of the week? It doesn't have to be related to business. It can be a life hack or anything in between.
I do. My tip of the week comes from my favourite movie, which is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Okay.
And this is a quote that I live by in my business life specifically. And it's a line that Heath Ledger says to Joseph Gordon-Levitt, specifically when they're sitting on the swing outside the party, for anyone who's seen that movie. Heath Ledger says, don't let anyone ever make you feel like you don't deserve what you want.
I love that.
And like, if you want something, you can have it. You just got to work hard.
I couldn't agree more. And I think I know I said this earlier, but I think that's where a lot of people stop, is at that like self-doubt belief of like, no, I can't do that. What's the saying again? Say it again. Don't
let anyone ever make you feel like you don't deserve what you want. It's a good one.
Chef's kiss. I absolutely love it. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the pod, Tommy.
Thanks, mate.
Where can everyone find you personally as well as Wedding Chats?
So Wedding Chats is Instagram, TikTok at Wedding Chats, and me is at Tommy Casha.
And if anyone has a wedding coming up?
Oh, mate, inquire.
We're aiming for 100 weddings or 100 bookings. Hit Tommy up, make it a priority, put it in the wedding budget. You will not regret it because it is the best business in the world. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, best business in the world. I'll let you know how many referrals I get.
Use the code BIGBUSINESS10 at checkout. No, but seriously, if you do contact Tommy, let him know that I sent you. And it doesn't have to be a wedding either. It can be a 50th, a 30th, an anniversary. A funeral.
Oh my, I've actually started doing a few funerals, to be honest, because when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, this is on a tangent, but
I saw
the opportunities I'm diving in. At a funeral, it's generally an emotional time. I said I've done a couple. I've done one. But it was for a person who I knew when I lived in Melbourne. Really tragic circumstances. Someone passed away. I was friends with the family and I said, I can come down. I can interview people at the memorial, which was at like a brewery. So you know how sometimes a funeral's super sad and like probably wouldn't be appropriate for those times?
Yeah.
But when we're going to a pub afterwards and we're having drinks and we're celebrating their life, same thing. What did you love about them? Favorite memories with them? And then give that to the family. Because at the wake, the family doesn't really get to talk to every single person that's there.
Yeah.
And then they've got this beautiful video that on the person's birthday, on the anniversary of their funeral, whenever they want, they can sit there and remember that person and all the great memories they had with their friends and family that the family would probably never hear those stories otherwise.
Yeah. I love that, honestly, and not to go on a complete tangent, but I do think sometimes that with funerals, like it is really, sad and like a downer and I don't want to say grim, but you know what I mean?
It's grim, yeah, absolutely. Morbid.
And then we kind of just die and then we're just forgotten about, like completely.
Absolutely.
Like what do we know about our great-great-grandparents?
Nothing.
Exactly. So if you can create this little piece of content that's going to maybe stay in the family forever, then I'm all for it. So if you've got a funeral coming up.
Let me know. I'll come.
AKA all of us.
Yes.
Everyone start saving to book Tommy in for your funeral.
I'm calling it life chats because I feel like funeral chats is a bit of a downer.
That's
life
a bit,
chats.
Yeah, life chats. No,
Death chats?
Death chats. We shouldn't be laughing.
If you're not going to laugh, you're going to cry, right? So let's laugh. Let's celebrate
if you
life.
don't laugh, you cry. And you know what? On that, I'm going to end this. I'm going to say this now. I want my funeral to be fun as fuck. I do. I don't want everyone crying. I don't want to listen to a sad song carrying me down
What's
the
your
middle.
funeral song?
Just something like...
Bootylicious.
Yeah, just something like a banger. Like, I don't want any sad songs. I want people to get up and tell the most fucked up stories about me. I want everyone to laugh and celebrate. I'm saying it now so that if I randomly die, it's here in words on the pod, allegedly.
Fantastic.
It's been great having you, Tommy. I'll see you on the drive on the way home because you're here with me all day.
Fantastic.